this woman, a powerful CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, found herself falling deeply in love with her incredibly charming nurse. Under the guise of treatment, she began to spark moments of romance with the young nurse. Unaware of the CEO's influential background, the nurse also fell for her, drawn to her charisma and warmth. They would steal private moments whenever they could, indulging in their forbidden love and even sharing the same bed on intimate nights. But one day, everything changed for the nurse. What unfolded next was a series of events so shocking and heart-stopping that it turned their world upside down. You must listen to the story very carefully. It all started with a hospital visit that was supposed to be routine, but turned into a whirlwind chapter of my life. My name is Elizabeth Crawford, a 36-year-old businesswoman living in New York City. I've worked tirelessly to build a fortune, heading a tech company that's known worldwide. My days are filled with meetings, conferences, and the occasional charity gala. But somewhere along the way, I realized that my heart felt empty. Love had eluded me for years, and I had resigned myself to the idea that perhaps it just wasn't meant for me. It was a chilly autumn afternoon when I felt an unbearable pain in my stomach. At first, I thought it was just stress or something I ate. But the pain worsened, and my assistant insisted I go to the hospital. Reluctantly, I agreed. Little did I know that stepping into that sterile building would change my life forever. As I sat in the waiting room, clutching my side and trying not to groan in agony, a young nurse approached me. She was petite, with short auburn hair that framed her face perfectly, and bright green eyes that seemed to pierce right through my soul. Her uniform was crisp, her demeanor professional, but there was a kindness in her expression that made the pain momentarily bearable. "Hi, I'm Claire," she said with a soft French accent that melted me instantly. "Let's get you checked in." Her touch was gentle as she guided me to an examination room. She asked me a series of questions, her voice calm and soothing. Despite the pain, I found myself staring at her, captivated by her beauty and grace. Claire was only 22, a fresh graduate working in the hospital's emergency department. She was everything I wasn't: young, carefree, and full of life. Over the next few hours, Claire tended to me with unwavering patience. She brought me water, adjusted my blankets, and even cracked a few jokes to lighten the mood. Her presence was a balm to my pain, both physical and emotional. By the time the doctor diagnosed me with a severe case of gastritis, I realized I didn't want to leave her side. As she handed me my discharge papers, I felt a pang of disappointment. "Thank you for everything," I said, hoping my gratitude conveyed the depth of my feelings. She smiled, her cheeks tinged with pink. "It was my pleasure. Take care of yourself, Elizabeth." Hearing her say my name sent shivers down my spine. I left the hospital with a prescription in hand and a new ache in my heart. Weeks passed, and life returned to its usual chaos. But I couldn't stop thinking about Claire. Her smile haunted me, her laughter echoed in my ears. I found myself looking for excuses to return to the hospital, but common sense prevailed. "She's too young," I told myself. "And what would she want with someone like me?" Fate, however, had other plans. One evening, while attending a charity event at a local art gallery, I saw her. Claire stood near a painting, sipping wine and chatting with a group of people. She was out of her uniform, wearing a simple black dress that hugged her figure elegantly. My heart skipped a beat. Summoning every ounce of courage, I approached her. "Claire!" She turned, her eyes lighting up with recognition. "Elizabeth! What a surprise!" We spent the evening talking, finding an empty corner where we could converse without interruption. I learned that she loved art and was taking night classes to pursue a degree in art history. She spoke passionately about her dreams, her hands gesturing animatedly. I was utterly mesmerized. As the night ended, I hesitated, but finally asked, "Would you like to have dinner with me sometime?" She hesitated, her cheeks flushing. "I'd like that." Our first dinner was magical. We met at a cozy French bistro, where Claire introduced me to escargot and laughed at my hesitant expression. Conversation flowed effortlessly, and by the time dessert arrived, I was completely smitten. She was intelligent, witty, and had a way of making me feel alive in a way I hadn't in years. But our relationship wasn't without challenges. The age gap was a glaring issue. My friends were skeptical, and Claire's colleagues whispered behind her back. There were times when I questioned if we were making a mistake, but every time I saw her smile, all my doubts vanished. One evening, as we walked along the Seine during a weekend trip to Paris, Claire stopped abruptly. "Elizabeth," she said, her voice trembling. "I've never felt this way about anyone before, but I'm scared. What if this doesn't work out?" I cupped her face in my hands, looking into her tear-filled eyes. "Life is full of uncertainties, Claire, but I know one thing. I'm willing to fight for us." In that moment, we shared our first kiss. It was soft and tentative at first, then deepened as months of pent-up emotions spilled over. The world around us faded, leaving just the two of us under the Parisian moonlight. Our happiness was short-lived. Back in New York, I discovered that someone had taken photos of us in Paris and leaked them to the media. Headlines screamed about the scandalous romance between a wealthy businesswoman and a young nurse. My board of directors was furious, claiming the publicity was bad for business. Claire was hounded by reporters, her every move scrutinized. "I'm so sorry," I said one night as we hid in my apartment, away from the prying eyes of the paparazzi. "I never wanted this for you." She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I knew what I was getting into, Elizabeth. I just didn't think it would be this hard." The stress took a toll on our relationship. We fought more often, the pressure threatening to tear us apart. But just when I thought all hope was lost, Claire surprised me. "Let's leave," she said one evening. "Let's go somewhere far away, where no one knows us." It was a bold idea, but one that reignited our spark. We spent the next few months traveling through Europe, living out of suitcases and embracing the freedom of anonymity. In Italy, we danced under the stars. In Greece, we swam in crystal-clear waters. In Spain, we laughed over shared plates of tapas. Every moment felt like a dream, but reality eventually caught up with us. Claire received an offer to join a prestigious art program in Paris, while I was needed back in New York to save my struggling company. The distance threatened to pull us apart. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice breaking. I took her hand, my heart heavy. "We follow our dreams, and if we're meant to be, we'll find our way back to each other." Saying goodbye was the hardest thing I've ever done. As I boarded my flight back to New York, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was leaving a piece of my heart behind. Months turned into years. We stayed in touch, exchanging letters and occasional phone calls. Claire's art career flourished, and my company recovered, but the ache of missing her never faded. One day, as I sat in my office, a package arrived. Inside was a painting of the Seine, with a note that read, "Meet me where it all began." I didn't hesitate. I booked a flight to Paris and found Claire waiting for me by the river, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "I never stopped loving you," she said, her voice trembling. And I never will, I replied. We embraced, the years of separation melting away. In that moment, I knew that no matter the twists and turns life threw our way, we were meant to be together. Claire and I eventually settled in Paris, where she continued her art career, and I started a non-profit to support young artists. Our love story was unconventional, filled with challenges and heartbreak, but it was ours. And as we walked hand in hand along the Seine, I realized that sometimes the most beautiful things in life come when you least expect them.